All right. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. We're back with a special report from Barrington, Illinois. How you doing, David?
I'm doing great, Mark. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. This is exciting. This is sort of a value add, I guess, to the grocery industry.
It is.
This is outside of the regular monthly eGrocery sales insights recording that we do. This month, actually not this month, this episode, we are talking about eGrocery shopper profiles. Primarily, what's the change in behavior that we're seeing among certain market segments. Let's dive right into it, and then we'll see where the conversation takes us.
I think as we were preparing for this and looking at this, what stood out to me first and foremost was really the shifts that we were observing, at the income level for households across the chain, across the formats that we were examining in the report. And one thing that we've been talking about for a while, as you know, the financial pressure that the lowest income group has been feeling for some time. So this group would be considered households that are making under $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And what we saw in the report was that sales in aggregate, whether we're looking at Walmart, Target, grocery, even hard discount, had all pulled back in a range of anywhere from 6% on the low end, which was related to Walmart, to 20% on the high end, which was related to supermarkets and Target. And I don't think, that in and of itself is terribly surprising because, we all have generally understood that household group was under pressure. What was really surprising was on the other end, the most affluent group, those making over $200,000. What we saw confirms what we've heard publicly from Walmart, which was this massive surge in that income group's contribution to sales at Walmart. It's grown over 50% year over year, while at supermarkets, it declined, right? And so the surprise was the weakness that supermarkets were experiencing during the first half of this year versus last year in that upper income group. And I say that surprised me because this is the group that, traditionally is less price sensitive and more value oriented towards the convenience aspects that online shopping has. So the fact that there's been weakness with that group in supermarkets while there's been this renewed surge or resurgence in Walmart is somewhat concerning if I were a regional grocer.
Yeah, let's talk about, and for reference, the image that we interspliced here. This trend, you're seeing this. It's pretty resilient. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's resilient in this one sense that it's occurring across those formats, whether it's hard discount, mass, including Target and Walmart, or our regionals. And on the low end, again, that's somewhat expected, but again, even surprising that it is that broad, just really illustrating the challenges that household group is under and continues to be under relative to, justifying or finding ways to save money while shopping online.
Do you have any sense as to the categories of products that are appealing to the over $200,000 households?
Here we would have hypothesis with that because our focus doesn't go to that level. But what I can tell you from anecdotal evidence and even firsthand evidence is the price gaps that we're seeing in the center store are increasingly hard to ignore when or if you're price comparing between Walmart and a regional. I mean, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Just recently, my wife has asked me to get some additional cleaning spray for our house. I was at the local regional grocery store just a half mile away, and I could buy that bottle on sale for $7.29, down from like $7.59. So, hey, that seems good, right?
Yeah.
Until I open up the Walmart app and see that, I can drive 5 miles or order online if I wanted to and spend $3.67. And that's the everyday price. So $7.29 on deal at the regional, $3.67 every day at Walmart.
That's it's half the price.
Yeah, exactly. So when you have that kind of thing, or the ginger beer, which I love, and it has a $2 to $3 spread,
Yep.
those things start to add up. And again, hard to ignore. As long as they're not immediate need items, in the case of the cleaning, my wife just wants to make sure that we have it by Monday. I can schedule a trip to visit that Walmart store, or I could schedule a delivery. I'm not going to schedule a delivery just for one item. It's just not going to make sense. So I think to answer your question, where we sense the leakage is occurring, or what is driving the gains for Walmart, is primarily those center store categories where it can leverage its scale to really increase the gaps that it currently has with the regionals. And that's making it ever more compelling for those customers who actually do compare prices.
And as you know, we've talked about this before. Center aisle product for a regional is the most profitable product categories. So this is quite substantial in terms of if you're looking at, the hit to the bottom line for a regional.
Exactly. And then, again, the comparison that I was making with the cleaning supply spray bottle was a national brand that I was going to buy. But in the past, I also have talked about the national brand versus private label price gap within grape juice, which is almost twice as large as the typical price gap, if not more, than what you would see at regional. So when we have a 50% price gap between private label and national brand, it now is triggering a second reconsideration and causing me potentially to slide down to the private label, which in the case of grape juice, I've actually bought them both, taste tested them, and think that the Walmart's great value grape juice is very comparable and probably more than acceptable for a majority of people, especially if they can get it for $2 less than the leading national brand.
Let's put the size of the demographics into perspective. What can you quantify in terms of the under $50,000 household per year, and then the over 200?
I think this is a great question, Mark, because too often we just forget to remember the relative size that each of these groups has. That lowest income group, those making less than $50,000 a year, account for over 1/3 of all U.S. households, according to government data and Brick Meets Click estimates of that data. In comparison, that upper end household making 200,000 plus accounts for roughly 12% of the U.S. population on a household basis. So just from a scale perspective, it's almost 3-to-1, not quite, but 3-to-1 in favor. That's important to remember because, again, the trends that we're seeing in that lower income group are going to have a disproportionate impact on the top line, just simply because of the weighting that group has. Now, when we look at supermarkets will over-index towards the most affluent households and under-index to the least affluent. That makes sense. When we look at Walmart, over 40% of their households on a customer mix perspective fall into that lowest income group. In comparison, it's roughly 30% at supermarkets. So that, again, intuitively lines up with most people's understanding of the demographics. But it's that upper level, the over 200,000, less than 10%. It's around 8% of the customers who shop at Walmart are in that group, whereas with supermarkets, it's close to 15%. When you start to see defections or weakness occurring in that upper income segment, that's a real risk and threat to regionals. While conversely, it's really an opportunity for Walmart, and this is just part of its march up market that we're seeing. And online, in particular, delivery and some of the features it has, we believe, is what's contributing to the gains that Walmart is capturing, largely at the expense of regionals.
You had commented offline about some surprising acceptance of some of the tactics that Walmart's deploying when it comes to delivery for that upper income band. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, and there was one other I didn't mention. I'll start with, Mark, and that is that delivery in particular enables the most affluent households to gain access to essentially shopping Walmart as if they were shopping in the store,
Right,
without
right.
ever having to visit the store. Now, that's important because there's a subset of that group, and I know people who fall in this group who just would prefer not to be seen shopping at a Walmart. So delivery enables you to do that. So unless someone's watching your house and seeing the bags dropped off on your porch, which is kind of creepy, they're not going to get that with the delivery side. So there's that component of access along with the association, right? Secondly, we've seen Walmart be a fast follower compared to Amazon with expanding home delivery to inside the home, to the refrigerator. We had done an analysis long back when Amazon had made that move. And we understood that there was a fairly defined, maybe limited market segment that would have appeal for that at the time. Well, Walmart has demonstrated that there's likely more appetite for that today, potentially because they've had a stronger rollout compared to Amazon, but that this may be also what is attracting some of those upper income households who appreciate the value added component that in-home delivery services provide. And let me just add that it was just a couple months ago that Walmart elected to integrate the Walmart in-home delivery feature and aspects of their delivery service within their Walmart Plus membership program. So, like Amazon, they are trying to increase the value of that bundle to encourage more signups to the membership to lock them in. And in-home may, in fact, just be one more way of targeting the most affluent households in getting to that end.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think when Walmart first announced that service, to be able to either deliver it to your garage or deliver it inside to your fridge within your home, the perception was, and this was not going to be adopted, because do you really want some stranger walking into your house? But it seems now the behavior's changed, or is changing.
Yeah, and I think another key component to highlight is the customer value prop is different for Walmart than it is for regionals. And notably, what's different is the ability to also purchase general merchandise at the same time as your grocery order. And then think about the general merchandise aspects where now with the in-home delivery, they can potentially introduce and have the reverse logistics of returns, free returns from your home. If you are an avid shopper or a loyal shopper of Walmart, placing a lot of online orders, whether it's delivery or shipped to home, having that added feature is, again, enabling you to save time and frustration with having to do it some other way, right? Walmart has a larger ecosystem by which to bundle different features that can attract customers that have maybe been holding out. And I think what we see and interpret from what we see in the results, Mark, is that really Walmart has reactivated a fairly sizable portion of lapsed customers. And those lapsed customers might have been customers that lapsed from competitors as opposed to Walmart by bringing these customers in. And they may have also helped increase the pool because we are still seeing that pool increase maybe a half a percentage point to 3/4 percentage point year over year. But that's primarily by better serving the needs or unmet needs of various customer segments. And right now, Walmart appears to be doing a better job satisfying the needs of the most affluent. And that's quite a statement to make.
Yeah,
when it's the market leader on the low end.
Well, it's this changing perception across the customer segments. Regionals have always relied on this, customer service, knowing your customer, super friendly approach that they would take to both in store and online in execution. And Walmart is taking a page from that book, so it's putting increased pressure on the regionals. How do you see them responding?
One of the benefits of this analysis was really reinforcing the value of better understanding your customer or shopper. And in this case, it's really the value of segmenting that shopper into meaningful slices or clusters that would enable you to identify action items. And in this case, we looked at it by income group. And what we're seeing the screen flash red on is the question, what are regional grocers not doing to better satisfy the unmet needs of that most affluent customer? Because clearly Walmart has tapped into something that is appealing enough that these customers are willing to change where they shop and who they shop with to get those items, keeping in mind that some of these customers may not have a proclivity or a preference for shopping with that retailer in the physical world, but the digital world allows them access without proximity. And that's the issue that the regionals are going to wrestle with, is how do we overcome an issue that undercuts our core strategic advantage, which is proximity to the customer. When delivery takes that away, what do? Well, we then have to look at aspects of the business that customer values that we can do a better job delivering. So obviously you could look at, well, does that mean we should consider in-home? Well, there are some regionals who are doing that in some form or fashion. Kroger is now doing that in limited markets, at least from what we can see. It may be tying in other aspects that we haven't identified. I mean, this is where the marketers and the merchandisers in these organizations are so key. Otherwise, then they take a fast follower mentality. But again, we could look at folks like Sprouts, who has really focused over the last several years in understanding who their shoppers are, segmenting them, targeting them, and making sure that they're really aligned with those segments and needs, is probably where a lot of the retailers need to start. And again, we're really focused online, not suggesting that that's also required for the in-store shop, but at least with the online, it's looking at the differentiators that you're just not emphasizing enough. Produce, your perimeter with your catering, your prepared foods, aspects of the business where customers tend to prefer the regionals. Those are areas that we would potentially look at first. Part of that gets exposed or identified during the process.
Yeah, what's fascinating is how this shift amongst the larger retailers is forcing regionals, who have always, and we've talked about this, been a little more analog in their approach to customer marketing, being more blanket as opposed to targeted. They have no choice but to look at the fundamentals, look at their customer profiles, segment accordingly, and then understand how they could generate value from those segments.
To take a kind of a snippet from the analog physical world of category management and transfer it to the digital, the retailers would always say, where are our destination departments or categories, right? And a destination category is a product category that has some differentiated value that would compel your customer to drive past the competitor to your store. So, online, the question could be made, what is that destination department or category? Or said another way, what's the reason for why our customer is going to choose us online versus, let's say, Walmart? We know it's clearly not going to be price. So if it's not going to be the price of the products, what is it going to be, right? And it's a big open question, because what each retailer may elect to do or how they answer that question should be grounded in, what they're known for, what they're capable of providing, and, how that supports their broader strategy in the market to compete with players like Walmart.
And of course, one of the big themes that we've been sharing this year is personalization and relevancy of promotional offers, but also of the service experience. So knowing your customers when they come experience your online property, catering to their needs and wants so that they can build their basket, faster and check out sooner. And when you do have out of stocks, limiting disappointment by providing relevant, smart substitutions.
Yeah, and this is a moving target. So adapting, testing, and learning is all key. And connected to each and every one of those is, again, understanding how these changes affect or influence the way our customers shop with us, and when they do, what they buy from us. So the personalization is really key in keeping existing customers engaged and rewarding them with more relevant offers. We tend to be focused a little more upstream, which is on preventing that customer from leaving, or understanding maybe what's attracting customers away from your stores to the competitors. And in this case, that's where our attention has been. But these things are not easy. Again, an example I just would highlight with Walmart is they've now essentially conditioned me, at least as a customer, that their in-store availability is accessible by simply going into the app. And once again, before I make my maybe monthly visit to the store, I'm checking to see what products I want to buy, and I'm seeing some of them out of stock. Now, that's good and bad. I'm not looking for a substitute, so that's a lost sale. What the concern or question I have is, could that motivate some people to delay a trip to the store? It has for me, but at the same time, I would like to manage my expectations. I would rather like to know that the product is not available in the store today versus spending 15 minutes to drive there only to find that out. Yeah. So how we reconcile that from a marketing and a merchandising standpoint so that we do the best we can to capture the most share of wallet is a dynamic kind of never-ending task for all the retailers.
And I think on that note, that's a great observation. And I really want to thank you for your time, David. Another great report. Happy that we've been able to bring this to our audience, and look forward to our next recording coming up shortly.
Sounds great, Mark. I appreciate it. And we continue to enjoy the collaboration and the thought leadership that flows both ways.
100%. All right, folks. That's it for now. Bye-bye.